So welcome, Roberto. We're going to get started. Just a few announcements before we get started. We will be recording this session and making it available online afterwards. And we ask you to put any questions you may have in the Q&A. And then we also ask that you wait until the end to make to have any question to input your questions so that it's easier to answer them. So we'll have the two presentations and then we'll do the Q&A at the end. Welcome, Roberto.
Hola. Hi, good morning.
Hola. Good morning.
Morning, Roberto.
So before we get started, I want to introduce our speakers, of course. We have the president of AMPI. That's AMPI is for those who don't know, is the National Association of Real Estate Professionals in Mexico. And then we also have, that's Roberto Barrios, who just joined us. And then we have Sylvia Elias, who is the president of FIAPSI Mexico, the World Federation of Real Estate in Mexico. She and Roberto have also been presidents of their local associations, Roberto of Mexico City and Sylvia Elias in Puerto Vallarta. And so we're very honored and fortunate to have them here with us today. They will be doing market overviews on their markets, telling us in general about Mexico, the impact of COVID-19, the recovery, the reopening, opportunities for investment, and also the best way for our members to connect with their members to generate referral business and connections. So thank you so much for being, yes.
Thank you. And if I just may say that Sylvia is also the vice president of in the Mexican Board of Realtors. She's a very important in her role in the board. Very important.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. She's also on the board of directors for AMPI National, in addition to her role with FIAPSI Mexico. Thank you for, as vice president. And you're both good friends of Miami, and we've shared, events and interacted, and AMPI and FIAPSI Mexico are valued partners of the Miami Association of Realtors, where we have over 220 global partners. So thank you for adding that. And now just quickly, I'm going to introduce Melissa Talavera Amigo on behalf of Allied Building Inspections. They are our sponsors this morning, and she's going to say brief words on Allied. Welcome, Melissa.
Good morning, Linda. Thank you so much. Always an honor to be here with you guys. What a wonderful organization you guys are, and how you support your realtors and all these amazing classes that you give. It's always an honor. We are Allied Building Inspection Services. We perform both residential and commercial real estate inspections. We have been servicing South Florida since 1993. And we are the largest inspection company in South Florida. So we are servicing Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Monroe, and recently also have extended into the West Coast and are servicing Collier and Lee counties. So our inspections are full, comprehensive inspections that do include termite insurance reports. We can also perform mold assessments and sewer scope inspections. We are, some of our popular inspections right now that I wanted to share with you guys this morning is we are also performing pre-listing inspections. So for those of you that are getting ready to put a property on the market, this is a very beneficial inspection because it gives the seller the opportunity to fix anything that can potentially be an issue and can cost them the sale of the home. This is an opportunity to get that comprehensive inspection that's going to let you know anything that's wrong so you can go ahead and get that resolved. And we also have rental reviews. So for tenants and for landlords that are looking to rent a property, this inspection will document the condition of the property at the time, and will help the landlord once the tenant moves out, or even the tenant once they move out, to help them have everything documented. So these are just some of the services that we offer in the residential umbrella, and we also perform commercial inspections such as 40-year recertifications for the buildings that require that after 40 years and 10 years after that. So again, these are just some of the services. I will be adding our contact information into the chat. So for anyone that has any questions, we would be more than happy to help. We know that this business is built on relationships, and we would love nothing more than an opportunity to help you grow your business. So thank you again, Linda, for the opportunity this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Melissa. And now we'll get started with the presentations. Sylvia, you should be able to share your screen. Sylvia has a presentation and market overview, and then we will feature Roberto.
Also, before we continue, while we share the presentation, I wanted to talk to Melissa perhaps about bringing inspections to Mexico. It is quite common in our marketplace, since we have been operating probably for the last 25 years with procedures that are very like to what you have in the United States. We encourage every one of our clients to convey an inspection before they commit to buy a certain property, so we can also at the same time negotiate any type of repairs that may come out of that inspection. And I was very interested also to learn that you do the same for rental properties, because in rental properties that has not yet become a practice in Mexico, or a frequent practice. So, and I think it is also essential to be able to document what is the condition of the property prior to the tenants moving in. So your company should be considering perhaps to start opening up branches, especially in the different resorts in Mexico, where we are doing this type of practice in real estate. Thank you, Melissa.
Okay. Can you share your screen, Sylvia?
Yes. Thanks to my IT, yes. We are waiting for that. Yes, the universal properties. Okay. While Isaac is finding and able to put it in the screen, I also wanted to share that after our lockdown, first, I mean, so that you get familiar at what time Jalisco state was placed into lockdown by a state government decision, and that goes back all the way to March 17th. It was something that happened all of a sudden. This disruption put us all, you know, on a standby situation. We didn't know what to do. At that moment, there were quite a few clients that were still in Puerto Vallarta, tourists especially, or foreign residents, and then in the process of making offers or very interested in different properties. As a result of the lockdown and the concerns that the flights were about to close down and perhaps the borders rather soon, we experienced quite a few clients for the last 2 weeks especially that were either trying to back out from an existing contract, an existing commitment to buy a property, and also that decided to delay the offers that they had in process. We are now finally seeing something in the screen. And one of the most fascinating things about Mexico second properties, which is, you know, the market I'm most familiar with, is the fact that we have a huge variety of real estate products and also pricing. So you can find properties from $100,000, small properties, small condos, obviously not in the key locations, but all the way up to multi-million properties, penthouses going more likely in the $1.3 million to $1.8 million, and we even have some that reach prices such as $2.8 million. The market is comprised of, in our region, Bahía de Banderas, and also which Bahía de Banderas is the second largest bay on the Pacific coast, and it also is comprised of two different states. Shortly after,
Sylvia,
yes?
sorry to interrupt. They're asking if the prices you're giving are in US dollars or Mexican currency.
I am giving the prices in US dollars. This is also an interesting phenomenon that is quite common in most of the, let's say, retirement and touristic areas of Mexico. Years back, the prices, we're talking maybe 30 plus years ago, the prices in most of these locations, we are talking inland as well, such as Lake of Chapala, which is near Guadalajara, is one of the top retirement communities, and is actually at a more affordable prices, obviously, that if you are in the coastal areas. We are talking San Miguel de Allende, for instance, where the prices are quite higher than even Puerto Vallarta-like properties. The markets, because of the peso, having fluctuated so much since the 80s, and then also during the 90s, we're in December 94, we experienced an over 100% peso devaluation again, the same thing that happened back in 1982. Since that moment, most of the pricing of the properties is in US dollars, especially those that are attractive to foreign buyers and that are looking for a second or third or fourth or fifth home, or even a retirement property. This is also advantageous. I mean, I have attended several webinars where the agents are talking, or the brokers, about the fact that we are becoming more competitive because presently our peso, our currency, is a little weaker than it was. It's been about 10%. It went up to almost 20%, the devaluation at the early times of the pandemic. Now it's about 20, it's about only 10%. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you can buy properties at 10 or 20% less than the asking price. And one of the main reasons—
Sylvia.
Yes.
Sylvia, we can't see the PowerPoint yet.
No?
Have you?
Okay.
No.
Yes, we have it here.
We see your screen, but we don't see the PowerPoint. I think maybe you have to switch screens.
Okay. We are working on that in the meantime. So I will explain a little bit of a feedback in terms of the dollar versus peso pricing. So the market is practically, as we call it, dollarized, also due to the fact that a huge percentage, probably 80–90% of the owners of resort properties, they are normally from the US, from Canada, and even some Europeans. Therefore, they want to recover their investment in dollars. For a Mexican national, it is also a great investment because it is investing in a stronger currency and at the same time also realizing a plus value and increasing value over time with the properties. Even in the worst crisis, such as the financial and real estate meltdown, it took us, yes, a few years, about 4 or 5 years to recover, but the prices are now a little higher than what they used to be back then. So in the long term, you always make a good return on your investment in real estate, and especially for a Mexican national because of the peso devaluation. So you keep your investment in a solid currency. Are you now seeing the screen?
No, we see your computer screen, but we don't see the PowerPoint. So it might be on, if you have 2 monitors, it might be on your other monitor.
No, it is in the monitor. So you don't see photos this moment of, so you see this computer screen, but you don't see any photos or anything.
Yeah. Now we don't see anything. Now we just see you. But
apologies.
before it was like where you choose your file. Let's see.
Okay, maybe you need
There
to
we go.
allow me.
There we
Yeah?
go. Just do slideshow now.
Okay, yes, there are some slides because I thought that it would be good that I show you some different type of real estate products depending upon the different areas, if you're interested in that. So for instance, one of the first slides, which has Puerto Vallarta's main pier, that is called the romantic zone. Also for the interest of potential investors, the romantic zone has had the largest increase in new developments and demand by a lot of foreign buyers. Why? Because of the proximity to downtown, they don't need a car, and we have quite a large variety of real estate. Up to about 6-7 years ago, the real estate products that were being developed, they tend to be the concept of residence, condo residence. So they were larger, anywhere from 2,300 to 2,500 square feet and even more. And today, the normal condominiums are getting smaller so that the prices become more affordable, and they are in the range of approximately 900 to 110, 900 to 1,100 square feet, because we here go by metros cuadrados, so I'm converting to feet, which is 10.76 times more. So you can see that it's an area that it has a higher density and is very close, obviously, to shopping areas, restaurants, and to the beach and to the pier. Then, for instance, you can see another slide to the left of the screen, which shows you that there is still a lot of area that is completely, that it has low density, is primarily built with homes, not really gated communities. We have only a couple of gated communities all the way to the south before the highway goes inland, and you cannot continue on the coastline. So that will be where the villas are located. If you look at the other slide, you can see how our topography, it's rather abrupt. We have a lot of mountains, and we are directly protected by the Sierra Madre that goes all the way down to the beach area. So over there, you can see a combination, for instance, of high-rise buildings, quote, because the typical condo buildings in this location, they are only about 8 or 9 stories, and then some villas at the same time. These are some of the most favored areas in terms of rental income producing. The pricing anywhere from approximately $250 a square foot to about $450 a square foot. So this is the reason why the units are getting smaller. We have studio apartments that go anywhere from 225 and up. We will show you a different type of slide. Well, this is just showing you the location. We are very close to Guadalajara, which is the capital of our state. And as I was saying, we are a bordering state to Nayarit, and we share the market in a way because we have the demand. In Nayarit state, and I will show you in a moment. So when you come to Vallarta Airport, which is super close to the hotel area, just about 5-minute drive. Then at the same time, we have a new development, well, in terms of the time length that it took to be developed, it's not so new because it was started back 40 years ago, but it took about, I would say 25 years to consolidate. It's called Nuevo Vallarta. That's already the Jalisco state. And then we have a couple of very popular small towns such as Bucerias and La Cruz de Guanacaste, which started to be favored when the Puerto Vallarta market got so expensive that the entry level prior to 2008 was getting to about $500 a square foot for a waterfront condo. In the North Shore, Bucerias, they were developing condos that were more in the $250 per square foot range. So this is when the market, you know, switched it, and we started to see more demand for Bucerias and La Cruz de Guanacaste. Later, we did another Marina at La Cruz de Guanacaste. So anywhere from La Cruz de Guanacaste to Puerto Vallarta downtown, we have 3 marinas. So that's a different kind of real estate product as well, where a buyer could acquire a condo or a house overlooking the marina, which is also quite demanded by a lot of foreign clients. They just like to see the water. And so because we have a few fishing tournaments, sail tournaments, is the reason why many of our clients also favor to be close to the marinas. Yes. Then I want to show, I don't know if in the next slide, if you look at what is Punta Mita, all the section north, Punta Mita, maybe many of you heard of that, is the most expensive area at this moment of real estate in our entire bay. The reason is that because it's a gated community, double gated community in many occasions, and it was actually developed by Grupo Dine from Mexico City, and the pricing has always been extremely high because it is absolutely breathtaking. We have a Jack Nicklaus designed golf course, and also several other gated communities comprise, some of them of condominiums, anywhere from $750,000 to $1.5 million for a condominium, and at the same time, homes in that location, nothing less than probably $1.5 million for something overlooking the golf course. Waterfront properties, they can go anywhere from $4.5 to $20 million. Bill Gates has a huge investment in that North Shore location, and so this is why Punta Mita, because of the natural beauty, the fact that it's so private and so secure, it has maintained the prices and is the most expensive parcel of real estate. On the North Shore at this moment, which will be going further beyond San Francisco, we also have 2 massive developments, La Mandarina, and then we have the one and only, which is this company based in Dubai, that they are starting hotels and a new house development, prices starting at $4.5 million. And they are, well, it's a small, the first phase is small, only 44 villas, but this gives you a perspective of how the pricing is depending upon the different locations on within the bay and with regard to Puerto Vallarta downtown. The South Shore of Puerto Vallarta has a few gated communities that I was mentioning before, such as Garza Blanca Resorts, and also we have Puerto San Joaquin, we have Sierra del Mar and Sierra del Mar Los Arcos. What we see in the trends is that most people would prefer to have a gated community versus just an area like Conchas Chinas or Amapas, which used to be the Beverly Hills of Puerto Vallarta, and today it has slightly less demand because it's not gated. The streets are owned by the municipality, therefore we had attempts to close it down, but it has not been feasible. But in that location, you can find villas that are quite affordable, anywhere from 600,000 in a gated compound of 4 or 5 homes to multi-million villas, some of which on the waterfront, they have been reconverted. They used to be mansions owned by a lot of owners from Guadalajara, Santa Barbara, California. Puerto Vallarta and Santa Barbara became sister cities many years ago. So we had families like the Wilsons who own all the tennis products. We had people that own large chains of supermarket. So all these people used to come in the winter. They had mansions that occupy sometimes a city block. They were low-key. I mean, they were built according to Puerto Vallarta architectural style. However, they were very large in land, practically all of them. That location, Calle Santa Barbara, they used to have their own tennis courts. On time, that has become one of the primary development areas because it is very close to the romantic zone in downtown within walking distance, and they are building all these new condominium buildings in pre-construction mostly, and prices starting about 500,000 and going up to a couple of $1 million depending if you're buying a penthouse. So that's in a way, you know, market view, market overview. This is what you see now on the slide on the top. That is actually Puerto Vallarta downtown. And you can notice we have a river that divides the historic center with the new romantic zone, so where you can see more condominium buildings. And then you can also see how the development of the city is spreading up to the mountains, always to take advantage of the panoramic views, and because they are also incredibly beautiful. So you can see now these are, this is the Conchachina section where we have mostly high-end villas. And then you can see photos of the Marina Vallarta, the kind of, the hotel zone that you see over here. We don't have a lot of skyscrapers, which here they are a lot lower than in most cities, even in Europe. They are no more than probably, I would say 25 floors. And they are located on the hotel zone, which is like from the harbor where we receive the cruise ships. You can see the harbor over there, and then to the right of it, you can see all the different buildings that are mostly high-rise. But the Marina Vallarta, which is down below, has an amazing boardwalk as well. It is comprised of 5 to 6 story buildings. So this is, for instance, the second marina on our bay, and you can see that it's lower density. The condominium buildings are only located on the beach side, and very few of them facing onto the golf course. And then with the different canals, what we have is single homes, single villas overlooking the canal. And then you can see below, which is a combination of a hotel resort. So we have several Hotel Rio on that location, and many other like Tres Velas, Gran Velas. So it is quite amazing, the tremendous range of real estate where you can buy all types of pricing and sizes and views and locations. So this is the other small town where we have the third marina that I was mentioning, located very close to Punta Mita. And this was also a small fisherman's village, and it has become very trendy because the pricing of the land being lower, therefore the finished product is also a lot less expensive. Over there you can also see at the bottom some of the photos of these magnificent villas that are totally, at the sea level with the beach or perch on cliff sides. We have a lot of celebrities and top CEOs worldwide that invest here. I mentioned earlier Bill Gates and some of his partners, and a lot of people related to the tech industry, as well as the Hollywood and other, celebrity buyers. So regarding, we'll keep showing you how it is. This is more on the North Shore, where they are going to do these new gated communities, the one and only La Mandarina. With regard to the behavior of the market, which I think, this the graphics will show you very well where we stand. I made a comparison of the last 6 months between the market last year and this year. So we broke it into, well, I actually did an analysis before several times while the lockdown was continuing to see what was the behavior, and even checking the traffic on the websites, which obviously diminished tremendously for approximately 2 or 3 weeks. I think a lot of the people were just concerned about this virus and were totally in shock and didn't want to think about real estate or anything like that. But one fascinating thing about our market is we have over 1.5 billion properties for sale. Can you imagine? We are a very, in terms of population, we are not very big, I should say, with the floating residents, probably 600,000, comprising both shorelines. And if you look at the total active over the last 6 months of last year in 2019, you can see that we had 1,587 condos for sale. And this year the market has increased somehow, approximately 200 more units. And the number of units sold last year in the same period of time was 417. This year only 289. The dollar volume, you can see, is also about 30% less in the same period of time. Obviously, this all has to do with the slowdown on making decisions that the pandemic obviously has triggered. And then, but one interesting thing that you can notice is that the average sales price of this year, the first 6 months, has been higher, approximately 10% higher than it was actually last year. I will show you another slide. Okay, so now we are going to look at houses. The house market has behaved a little stranger. We hear in many webinars that the actual new trends will probably be buyers looking for larger homes or houses that they can accommodate their office, their gym, also gardens, etc. However, what we have seen in our market yet is that, they are almost the same, only 10% less, almost the same houses that are active for sale. This year we have a 10% less. We have an increase in the condo market. We have a decrease in the number of houses on the market. And but when it comes to the number of properties sold, is 119 versus 94 this year. But look at the dollar volume. That's what is a bit shocking, because we have last year in the same period we had $64 million of homes that were sold, and this year is only $26 million. So that's almost is more than half, 35 or 40% less. And then the average sales price has dropped also by almost half, whereas in the condo market it has increased about 10%. So I think with all these charts that we look at, it gives you quite a good understanding of where the market is going. And also we have noticed over the last 3 weeks especially, that many of our clients that withheld making decisions just before or about during the lockdown, they are resurfacing, they are making offers again, and we are even getting multiple offers for certain properties. We have sold anything from condos in the average price of 250 to almost 400,000, and homes in the $1 million range to $2.5 million. Actually to some New Yorkers, people from LA, and also to Mexican nationals. So that gives you, I think, quite a good perspective of what our market is doing right now.
Sylvia,
Yes.
2 quick questions. Mike would like to know about property taxes and the kind of percentage return that an investor would make on these units.
Okay, the property taxes, that's one of my favorite subjects to touch, are nominal in Mexico. The reason why they are so inexpensive is because it's not the main source of income for a local municipality. It is the purchase tax. There are quite a few differences between the closing cost, for instance, when you buy a property in the United States and when you buy a property in Mexico. When you buy in Mexico, we have a purchase tax. This is common in some European countries, but obviously not in the United States. So the average is approximately 3%, but it's also based on a certain declining scale, depending upon the price of the house or the condominium, depending on the price of the property, it will go on a declining scale. But you have to take that in mind, into consideration. On the coastal areas and border areas of Mexico, we have the requirement of buying through the bank trust. So all foreigners have to buy either through the bank trust, or if it's commercial properties, they need to basically establish a Mexican company and then buy directly through direct title. Property taxes represent approximately 0. Because this year they changed exactly the scale, but about 0.3%. Okay, let's see. Yeah, annually we can compound and make it like that, because our taxes are paid bi-monthly. The rate is a per 1,000 percentage, not a percent, to make it easier. And so we multiply that times the 6 bimestres. So it is about 1/10 of what you pay for a live property in terms of pricing in most areas in the United States. So it's very nominal, but you need to take into consideration the purchase tax.
And return on investment percentage they can expect?
For closing cost, okay. Closing cost, if you buy within the coastal and border areas where you have the need of a fideicomiso, a bank trust, the cost can go anywhere from, I would say 7%, I like to quote a bit high, 7%, and down to about 4 or 5% for more expensive properties. So the least expensive the properties, the more the percentage it represents. What it is, the policy of my company is that before you make any offer, and sometimes even before you start looking at certain real estate properties or real estate products, what I do is calculate for them what the closing cost will be, so that it does not become a shock and they are already financially prepared to consider that that is going to be an additional cost when they buy the property, so that they are not sure that kind of 5 or 7%. In terms of financing, they are actually since 2010 became quite complicated. We used to have several mortgage companies from the United States and even banks that provided financing using the property in Mexico as the collateral guarantee. After that, many of these companies, one of them actually was Collateral Mortgage, went bankrupt. So it is a little difficult as a foreign resident to obtain financing to buy properties in Mexico. And we're talking resorts because we have very special programs through Infonavit for government housing, but we are talking in resort properties for foreign buyers. So most of my clients, what they do normally is either cash some of their investments or obtain an equity loan in the United States against the property there to be able to buy here cash. Sometimes we also are able to obtain private financing, which is generally short-term, anywhere from 3 to maximum about 7 years. And interest rates would be more like 7 to 8%.
What about return on investment?
The return on the investment, it can be generally no less than 10% if you market, you know, the rental of the property well. I have clients that have even achieved 15 and 17%. It is interesting. I mean, you know, some of these villas, we're talking that they are renting even in the month of July, which is low season for us, at no less than $2,000 a day. So can you imagine, you know, even if you pay $3.5 million for the property, depending upon the percentage of occupancy, you can get a very high return on the investment. But the typical is anywhere from 7 to 10, 12%.
And Ruth would like to know if in Puerto Vallarta there are hurricanes, earthquakes, or other weather events.
Okay, I have been here for over 30 years. I faced only one hurricane that created damage in Puerto Vallarta, and that was Kena back in 2002. It only affected, it was a big fight, but it only affected the boardwalk commercial spaces, so it didn't cause any effect as a result of the wind. It was primarily the surge, and because we didn't have any hurricanes since, you know, 75 years earlier, we were really not prepared, and we didn't take precautions. You know, we didn't board up business or anything like that. Because of the topography that you can see in the different slides that I show, we are very protected by the Sierra Madre Mountains, and Puerto Vallarta downtown stays practically in the middle of the bay, and that protects us from stronger winds. They normally come from the south, so they normally, when they start approaching the mountains, they slow down because they touch. Yes, we had a couple of quakes since I live here, also because of the type of terrain that we have. And I took a few courses after the first quake that we had. We were able to detect that from downtown to the south shore, obviously because of the mountains, we have very solid bedrock, and we call granito intemperizado, so it's an exposed granite, it's a rock, and we didn't suffer any effect whatsoever. Some of the Marina condo buildings had a few cracks, but just because the type of the structure, which is normally concrete slabs, we don't build with wood. So obviously we have concrete, you know, solid brick walls in some cases, and there were only a few cracks that were not structural, so it was very easy fix. And mind you, the quake was 7.8, and we experienced another in January 2003, which was 8.1. The only damage, and it was 1 minute 50, the only damage that caused was that the lacy concrete crown of our main church fell inward, but there were no buildings. There have never been buildings that fell down during earthquakes, and I think it has to do with the kind of bedrock ground that we have.
Great. So in the interest of time, there's a couple other questions, but I'm going to have Roberto present, and then we'll have the other questions at the end. So Roberto, if you can unmute yourself. And are you going to share your screen or no?
No.
No. Perfect.
No.
Then,
Look at, first of all, I want to congratulate Silvia because she made a superb presentation. And also thank you, Linda, because you are always pushing everybody in the real estate industry to give to move forward. So thank you very much. Also, I'm very pleased to be here. In name of PAMPI, we thank you very much. Now, what is happening in Mexico is a little bit like what is happening everywhere. This COVID crisis, this pandemic, make us remember and go to the history books and read what happened 102 years ago. 102 years ago, we have the same kind of pandemia. It was called the Spanish flu, la influenza española. It hit very hard the world. 50 million people died because of a Spanish flu 100 years ago. And that is a number that probably not very accurate because they didn't make census in China, in Africa, because it was colonial by then. So imagine that if these were the same kind of, if we didn't have the medicines that we have and the doctors and the hospitals, by now we probably had 400 million people dead, because in 1918 there were only 1,100 million people in the world, and now we are about 8 billion. So yes, we are experiencing problems, and we will have it for a while, because unless we have a vaccine and a treatment, vaccine so people can avoid to get infected, and treatment so the people who get infected can get cured, then we will have different waves, and it will go up and down as we take good care on confinement and on protection. But we are in that scenario now. What is very good about it is that in 1920 until 1920 to 1929, we had one of the largest expansions and growth in real estate. So the world has been where we are at now, and the real estate always recover. And there are two main reasons of the recovery. The first one is that we have what we call it the demographic bonus. The population is growing and growing and growing, and of course that will need more housing and more commerce and more offices. So we can be confident that the recovery will be very, very strong. Now, going to Mexico. Mexico, on difference with the rest of the world, we were having a small economic crisis. We haven't grown in 2019. So that says that the crisis hit us when we were going a little bit down. So probably our recovery will be a little bit slow, and our crisis will be a little bit high. Now that makes the possibility of getting wonderful opportunities around Mexico. Can you imagine right now? Sylvia made it perfect especially with Puerto Vallarta, but can you imagine that you can get in front of the water in Cancun, or in the corridor between San Diego and Ensenada? You can get houses in the front of the water for around $250,000. The same price in San Diego for the same thing will cost you probably $1.5 million, and you can get it right now in the corridor between Tijuana, which is border of San Diego, to Ensenada, for $250,000, $300,000. And the same in Cancun, and a little bit more because it's another kind of market in Cabos, but you can get right now great opportunities right now. Now, on the property tax, I want to add, Sylvia explained it very well, but I want to add that in Mexico, we are around 0.5% a year. But there is one big reason why. In the United States, property tax goes also to the school district, independent districts. They get funded by the property tax. In Mexico, we don't do that. We only take for some municipal services. That's why it's so inexpensive right now. Comparing, if someone is thinking in the United States to buy a second house in Mexico, regardless if it's in the tourist area or in the cities, they can understand that probably is 6 times lower the property tax than in the States. And you were asking many times about the ROI, the return on investment. It's amazing, but you can get around 8% a year, plus the surplus. So that we get in Mexico, because our houses are not made with wood, but with concrete and bricks, and they last probably forever. Our houses always get a higher price of what you get. It's not like in the States, with all the respect, that sometimes goes up and sometimes go down. So I will recommend all your people to look for Mexico. The retired community in Mexico, in Ajijic, in the Chapala Lake, or in San Miguel de Allende, Guadalajara, it's growing very fast because of the devaluation of the peso. The retired checks for the retired people last much more here and can buy much more things here. So right now, that is talking to your customers, to the United States. But what is happening in Mexico? Mexico has been very slow, the real estate industry, for this pandemic, but we will go up very high, and there are 2 reasons. The main is that on the lower scale of housing, the Infonavit, which is a government fund with money from the private sector, 5% of the payroll, and with the representation of the workers. So every worker in Mexico has an account in the Infonavit, and the Infonavit is offering this year 400,000 loans, a record, and also will let, let's say, familiars and non-familiars, friends, to join their credits to buy a better home for the first time since the Infonavit was founded in '73. And that is very good news for that segment of the market. Also, the Foviste, which gives loans to the people working for the government, is offering 100,000 loans for this year. And both institutions told us that they will do again in 1921, do the same level of credits. On the commercial banks, they are offering the best loans ever in Mexico. One digit loans, and for the first time in our lifetime for 20 years. That I know that for you is not that exciting because you probably have 30, but it's very good. So housing will come back pretty strong. Offices, I don't believe will come that strong because this home office thing that we have right now has teach companies that probably the accounting department or the law department of the big businesses can do home office, and they can save that space. They can save that space, and also the people is more productive, believe it or not. Now, on the retail, we believe that this pandemic push so hard the change, and people it's getting to buy online a lot of things. So I will be thinking that probably retail will go down a little bit and slow for the future. And so Mexico, as I said again, we can get a ROI of probably 8% a year on rentals, and you also have the property that your property will cost more in the future, and we don't have the same expensive maintenance because of the way we build the things with bricks and concrete. We hope that for the 2021, the recovery will start strong, and probably in the last trimester of this 2020, we'll start moving fast. And about AMPI, since we know that we have our associates in their houses, we have been giving free courses every Monday and Wednesday to all the associates, and many of the largest sections like Mexico City, Guadalajara, Monterrey, they are also giving free courses on other days. Guadalajara is giving them Tuesday and Thursday. So when this pandemic finish, when this crisis finish, we AMPI members will be with more skills to face the future. And also we are signing, we will announce it tomorrow at 11 o'clock, the new CRM MLS with a company, with an international company called Norte. It will be free for the associates. AMPI will take any expenses, and we will also be able to connect with our with the friends of our partners and friends of in the United States affiliated to NAR. So we believe that we are suffering like everywhere in the world, but we will come very strong for the future, Linda.
Sorry, I hadn't unmuted myself. Thank you very much, Roberto. That was great, a great overview. And by the way, Sylvia, the pictures in your presentation, in addition to the presentation, were very impressive of beautiful Mexico. I have one question in the chat, and so we'll take care of that one first, and then we can go over any other questions or doubts. Carla would like to know, she says she just listed a home in Yera, Tamaulipas, Mexico, and she wants to know how she can get the listing to be part of the MLS in Mexico.
Well, as I said, we will announce this tomorrow. We will launch the CRM MLS the 10th of this month. So she will be able to go to the AMPI page in the internet, and there will be a link that will say Bolsa Inmobiliaria, which is the listing.
I'm going to try to put that in the chat. I'm having an issue with bringing the chat up, but I'm going to put the information. Also, this is a good opportunity. I know you've been working on on launching that, but once you do that, whether it's local for Puerto Vallarta or for AMPI nationally, we're happy to promote that for you. We launched a page on our website called the International Property Exchange, and we're happy to promote the property searches for our partner associations if they're public facing.
Yeah,
so if there's anything.
I want to tell you something, to add something. Yes, there are many sections. Puerto Vallarta has one, the first one in Mexico, but Guadalajara has, and some other big sections has it. They have their own listing, their own Bolsa Inmobiliaria, and they will be able to keep it and also be in the national one. So it will be a win-win situation for everybody. And another thing that I forgot, Linda, and you are very well invited. Please save the date. We will have the 8th of this month. We will start with the Mexican Committee of women in the realtor industry. I mean, we're trying to do exactly what you are doing in the United States with the Council of the Woman Council of the NAR.
Realtors. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you are very well invited. It will be remote, of course. Because
Mm-hmm. I think Roberto froze. Silvia, do you have it? Oh, there we go. There, you froze for a minute.
So please be there. So at the end of this terrible year, we will have our realtors with much better skills because of the free courses, with much better technological tools, and we will have our women that AMPI is a proud promoter of the equality between genders. So we are very happy that we will do that too. It will be a good year for the future of AMPI, not a good year in the economics this year.
Excellent. And we have a few more questions. And so I'll get to those since, in the interest of time. Are you noticing an increase of Mexicans leaving Mexico because of COVID-19 and coming to the US and states like Miami?
Okay. Miami, there is a big, long story history between Mexico and the United States. I have a joke that someone don't like the first part, but they love the second part. I was with some friends in the realtor industry in Houston, where I own a house. By the way, I own a house and I have businesses there. And I say, hey, look at that. You are selling up to Mexico back Texas, because we are buying, because there's a lot of Mexicans buying it. And some two people get angry, but then the third one make the perfect joke. Say, yes, I agree that you are getting back Texas, but we don't care because we are getting Cancun and Puerto Vallarta, because they are buying it. So we have 2,000 miles of borders between Mexico and the United States. We have a lot of a big bilingual community and a Hispanic community in around the border in both sides. So we always have been knowing that a lot of Mexicans will go and buy houses in Miami, in Houston, San Antonio, in San Diego, but I don't know who buys more, because then we have a lot of American people buying in Ajijic, in Puerto Vallarta, in Mazatlan, in the corridor that it's booming between, as I said, San Diego and Ensenada, or Tijuana and Ensenada, all of them are speaking in English. In Nayarit, all the newspapers are in English, not in Spanish. And in Cancun, I mean, sometimes it's very hard to get to find someone who doesn't speak English, regardless of their nationality, because a lot of Americans enjoy that wonderful part of the Mexican Caribbean. So yes, we know that people is buying in Miami. Yes, we know that they still buying in Texas. But yes, the Americans still buying in Mexico. And right now, because of the prices, I believe they will buy more. For the Mexicans, will be much expensive, much more expensive to buy a house in the States because of the devaluation, and for the Americans, will be much expensive to buy it in Mexico. So yeah, but I can ask you the same question, Linda. What are you doing? Because a lot of Americans are buying houses in Mexico. Are you aware of that? I believe that
Yes.
we need to make and get stronger our relationship between realtors of the United States and Mexico, and so you can help in your city the Miami people who wants to buy in Mexico, and we can help in our city the Mexican people who wants to go and buy in your Miami.
I agree. I agree with that. We have somebody asking if they're able to practice real estate in Mexico with the Florida license.
No. What they can do with their Florida license is affiliate to AMPI, and AMPI will make them very fast, very fast to get your license. In Mexico, we only have licenses in 20 states right now, because as in the United States, the license is given by the state, not by the federal government. So we are pushing on the other 12 states that don't have it. Right now, Jalisco is pushing very hard the section of Guadalajara and the section of Vallarta to have their own law and then have their license. Now, we also have a good thing, and it's a bargain. For $50, 50 American dollars, if you are a member of a realtor association affiliated to NAR, you can get the international affiliation of AMPI for $50, and it's $50 a year. And we are waiting. You probably have, I bet you have the Ana Beatriz mail and everything. So she can be very happy to affiliate all your Miami members for $50 and send them our PIN, AMPI PIN, and our credential. So please do it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. So yes, you can do business with Mexico anytime, and your Florida license will help you a lot. But I strongly recommend you to affiliate to AMPI for $50.
Yeah. Excellent. If anybody, I'm having trouble bringing up the chat option. So if you email me at lynda@miamire.com, linda@miamire.com, then I'd be happy to put you in touch with Ana Beatriz, and you can join AMPI directly. We have a question from Mike. He says, can foreigners get the loans that Roberto mentioned from commercial banks at single-digit rates? How much less than 10%? And over 20 years with the Mexican purchased property as sole collateral?
Okay.
Can I answer that question, Roberto?
Sure. Please, Silvia.
Thank you. Well, we have been working for many years, actually, since the 2010, when all these major institutions that were providing loans collapsed. We have been working with different banks, and unfortunately, you have to meet certain requirements. There are some private lenders that are not really banks, or even some that are not lending institutions, but on the single digit, it is my understanding that it's not possible. I have been working with Santander, trying to come up with some products that will allow foreigners to buy here. And this is why I was mentioning earlier that since 2010, it became a little more complex, and the rates are generally higher, and especially the amount of qualification process that you need to follow. You have to have an extremely good credit score in the United States, and also sometimes the requirement is definitely that you are a resident of Mexico as well. So there are a lot of different requirements. So at this moment, it is very scarce, the amount of loans that a foreign buyer can buy using the property in Mexico as collateral. I don't know if Roberto has more information about that.
I am having a little bit more problems on the internet. I will try to solve it by taking away my image. I hope that we can that it could be solved. You still hearing me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can barely hear you. Let me change the computer, please.
Okay, we'll have a question for Silvia.
We
hear.
Yeah, sorry. I would just add to it that if anyone is interested in knowing whether they will qualify and what are the requirements and what kind of products are available, I can send you, Linda, the name of 2 mortgage brokers that are specialized in this type of loans and hypothecas, mortgage for foreign residents or foreigners who are residents in Mexico, and that would be because they have to look practically at, the first thing is that the property has to qualify, as we know, and the second is that the client also has to qualify. So it's not a very easy process at this moment, but I would be more than glad to send you the contact info in case anyone would like to have direct information.
And we have, perfect. That would be great. Just you can send it to me on WhatsApp or via email, and I'll share it with the participants gladly. We also have Marvin, a question from Marvin Gautino, because we hear a lot in, if you're not from Mexico, that you can't own oceanfront and that you can't own certain things. Can a foreigner own property in Mexico? Okay. I mean, clearly they can, but what are the restrictions?
No, yes, if you are away from the 50 kilometers from the coastal area or 100 kilometers from the borders, without any previous requirement, you can buy residential properties through direct title. The issue comes that since 1917, in the Mexican Constitution, Article 27, we have a restriction that prevents foreigners acquiring properties through direct title. Back in 1971, President Echeverria issued the system of the, presidential decree, and established the bankruptcy system as the safe and legal way to buy properties in Mexico. So ever since then, the foreign investment laws have been opening up in Mexico. The last one was in December '93. So presently, if we are talking, we have to distinguish between residential, we have to distinguish also commercial and industrial. But for residential areas, residential properties located within those 50 kilometers, 20 some miles from the coastline, and also 50 miles approximately from the border, there is a need to set up a bank trust. So the bank holds the title for the foreigner. Today, those bank trusts go for 50 years. They are renewable for 50 more years. And if you sell the property, let's say 30 years from now, your new buyer can obtain a new 50-year trust, which in turn will be renewable for 50 more years. So it has become an ongoing situation. If basically you are located, you want to buy in Guadalajara, Ajijic, Chapala, San Miguel de Allende, we don't have the bank trust. It's just for coastal and border areas of Mexico. Originally, they were described as the restricted area, and in the Constitution of 1917. There was an approval by the Chamber of Deputies of the modification of that article, but it has not yet made it to the Senate to be ratified. So it was put on a standstill situation. Unfortunately, I think there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to the bank trust system, because I have several Mexican friends, especially public notarios, that are the most qualified attorneys at law, that use the bank trust even for the purchase of their own properties. I also have celebrities that use the bank trust to purchase real estate. And the reason is that you can set up an administration board. So it is very beneficial for someone who has, for instance, children from different marriages, to give you one of the examples, because they can designate them as heirs. There is no need to probate, just to do the process with the trustee bank and obviously the certified death certificate, but there is no tax at this moment for inheritance either. So the process is very smooth because you will avoid the probate. And at the same time, you can always have a board of directors as well that will be managing your estate if something happened to you. So we find very many tools. And also, if you want to buy commercial property, for instance, since the December 93 new foreign investment law, there is a possibility that you can set up a corporation only with 2 partners. In the past, partners were 5. So now 2 partners are required. They can both be foreigners, and then these partners can set up a Mexican corporation and buy properties for commercial purposes. They cannot be used for residential purposes. Some people do, but you can be penalized. So it has to be only for development or for commercial purposes. But the bank holds the title. The foreigners have the right to rent the property, to sell the property. All assets go to them. They pay the income tax or capital gains tax, as you would refer to it in the US, the same way as Mexican national, but on different tax brackets depending whether they are residents in Mexico or not. I hope I answered the question.
I think so. And now we have Roberto back. Was there anything you wanted to add, Roberto, before you had to switch and come back?
No, everything is, I mean, but again, thank you very much for this possibility to put us together, Mexican realtors and American realtors. And the market is there. The crisis is ending. So let's be ready for the recovery with more united that we have ever been.
Yes, I agree. And there's great synergy between our markets and Mexicans, as you mentioned before. You know, we used to not be a top market for Mexican buyers, and we have been for the last few years. and continue to be. And I think there's just great synergy between Miami and Mexico and your markets in particular. And we're always happy to have you. We thank you for your leadership and all you do for real estate on a global level and for the partnership with both of your organizations. Sylvia, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I also would like to thank you, Linda, and the Miami Association of Realtors to put together these work sessions. Thank you for the MO. We also have with FIAPSI Mexico. It is also, in my opinion, very important to affiliate to FIAPSI in the United States, for instance. I believe that after this situation, we have seen an increasing need of becoming more global. I have always been global all the years in my career. I started also in the global resort market, and I believe that to be part of the organizations that are present in as many countries as FIAPSI, which is approximately 65 countries, it is essential because with also now, during this pandemic, we have had all these many webinars where we are exchanging market conditions, opinions, and we are also getting to know more and more members of these networking organizations. And that only means business, because the relationship that you build with other colleagues generally has to be personal for you to feel comfortable to refer your own personal clients to them. I do a lot of referral business. I am also a member of Leading Nayarit Luxury Portfolio International. Therefore, I get a substantial amount of annual referrals, and it's always a pleasure because you know, we are serving clients that, you know, the agents have in the United States, and they don't even know to whom to refer them to. And then if they are for different areas, I definitely refer them to my colleagues of AMPI and FIAPSI in other parts of Mexico. So it is absolutely great that we put together these webinars, and I'm available anytime that you need me.
Absolutely. And I agree that global is even more necessary now, and that while it seems like we can't travel and connect like we used to, the pandemic has also brought us closer together because we can do these webinars and stay in touch and kind of come together more than we did when we were traveling and doing other things.
Also to get trained in, for instance, I became part of the first generation in Mexico that we got certified CIPS, Certified International Property Specialist. I am also the first CRS. And I held that for many, many years before it became a few more extended in Mexico. We have different sections of AMPI that are implementing at this very moment, for instance, CIPS, Accredited Buyers Representative. So in my opinion, training, continuous education, especially on the international fields such as CIPS or CRS, they are super important, and I believe in education, as you all know, and I encourage my colleagues to do so, especially now that we have a little bit of free time.
Absolutely. Excellent recommendation and advice. And I would like to say that we will be doing more on Mexico. We'll be doing other markets in Mexico and some in Spanish. And next week, I will be sending out the promotion for those of you who are on, but we should be covering Paris in France. And in France, we will do the same and do a few other markets like the French Riviera in English. And then in mid-July, we will have a webinar with Greece and Serbia, partner associations featured. And we will continue to do these to bring the global markets and the foreign partners to our members and to generate business opportunities and awareness and education. Thank you so much for being with us today. We really feel fortunate to have you as partners and also to have you as friends. And you're always welcome here. And is there anything else you would like to add before we go?
Just to say that the economy will come very strong after this big crisis. So if you want to have a good property with a good ROI, and buy it at a bargain price, right now look for Mexico, the waterfront properties or the inland properties. We have colonial cities. We have everything in Mexico. We have the best weather in the world. So buy it and come as in Miami. So buy it and come to Mexico in the winter. And then retire here, and your monthly checks will buy much more. Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you very much, all the Miami realtors, and you can count on AMPI always, dear Linda.
Likewise, Roberto. You can count on Miami, and
Likewise.
I'm always looking for reasons to go to Mexico. So I mean, I completely agree with everything you all have said. So wonderful country, wonderful people. Go ahead.
Just to paraphrase what Roberto was saying, we can't forget that we have one of the friendliest countries in the world. People here are so warm and so welcoming. And my city has been rated several times the friendliest city in the world. This year we also got an award, traveling award. We've been nominated by Condé Nast as one of the favorite destinations as well. And a very important thing for people to know, especially those who would like to retire, is that the cost of living in many locations in Mexico is approximately $1,100 a month. Obviously, my market is a little more expensive, but we also have a small towns very close to Puerto Vallarta, 5 minutes away by car, where they can actually realize that kind of cost of living. So we have everything it takes, from luxury property to less expensive properties, and a very affordable cost of living. And wonderful restaurants as well, and landscaping.
I agree.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Melissa, and the Miami Association of Realtors.
Thank you. And yes, again, thank you to Allied Building Inspection Service, our sponsor today. And again, I'm just going to say my email address one more time, because if you didn't register through our member portal and we don't have your information and you're looking for something that you didn't get on here, my email address is lynda@miamire.com. Feel free to email me and I'll put you in touch with Sylvia, Roberto, or send you any of the resources and information that they mentioned. Okay, well, thank you very much, and wishing you an excellent rest of your week. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda, for this wonderful webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Take care. Stay safe.
Likewise.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.